Hello everyone, this is my interactive module planning cards. My topic for my module is From Grass to Glass, an interactive module designed to educate high school students about how a cow's nutrient intake produces the milk that humans consume daily. In my planning cards, I will outline to you how I've set up my module, what I would like to implement into it, and then at the end of this presentation, I'll show you how I've implemented those into the first part of my module. So, as far as my background goes, students will learn about dairy cattle feed, consumption and digestion, how milk is produced, as well as how raw milk is processed to a safe grade for human intake. So my purpose is to help students understand that milk and other agricultural products are not grown and produced in the grocery store. My learners are targeted at 9th through 12th graders, and they're enrolled in an animal science or food science agriculture course. They have a little understanding about the processing of milk, but not a full grasp on how it gets from the cow to what they drink or eat on their cereal. The students will be completing this module either on a mobile device such as a phone, tablet, or laptop, or completing it in a computer lab type setting. So all the resources that they'll need, they will have access to either on the module itself or using the internet. Okay, so when the student first looks at or accesses the interactive module, they'll see a big Begin Here button, and when they click that, they'll be taken to a video that explains to them the purpose of the module and how they're going to go about completing all of the 4 different main points and steps within it. So now I've structured it into each of the main points. So main point number 1 is that the students will understand how grain and forage travels through the ruminant digestive system. So in order to accomplish this, I've separated it into 2 subpoints. So when they first look at it, they'll see the step 1 with the instructions. They'll take their mouse and they'll hover over the instructions, and that will take them to another page that has a text version of the instructions, as well as a video from the instructor, which would be me, explaining to them how they're going to complete that part of the interactive module. So for the main point number 1 content, there'll be 2 different sections. They'll go through the stomach compartments, and then they'll go through the feed and grain digestion. So students will click each button pictured above to proceed with the content they need to learn for success in understanding the first objective. So the first subpart or subpoint, this would be the content. So students are going to look at a cartoon image of the 4 compartments in the cow's stomach, and then they're going to be asked to go out onto the web and find actual images of the real parts in the stomach, and then that would be part of the activity, which is here, and then they'll have access to the classroom Pinterest page, and they're going to be asked to post those pictures onto there. And so their description of the physical characteristics of the compartment in the stomach is going to be how they're assessed for that whenever they post it onto Pinterest. And all these instructions will be given again like is shown up in step 1 instructions. For subpoint 2, the students will watch a video about how food moves through the ruminant digestive system. It's just a simple YouTube video that's embedded into the website. It's actually not just a YouTube video, it's called an Edpuzzle. So as the students are watching the video about how food moves through the ruminant digestive system, periodically there'll be questions that pop up, and before the student can continue watching, they'll have to answer the short answer question. So the student's answers to the 4 questions, or to the 3 or 4 questions about the food moving through the ruminant digestive system, are how the student is going to be graded for this portion of it. And then to complete main point number 1, there'll be a final assessment where the student will access a Google form, and on that form it will show them the different parts of the digestive system and how food moves through them, and they're going to be asked to order them 1 through 8, and showing that first the cow eats the grass, and finally the cow has absorbed all the nutrients and puts them into the milk that we drink. So this outline is what I've completed for main points 2, 3, and 4. So I'll just quickly scroll through those so that you can see how I've implemented different types of technology such as PowerPoint and an interactive picture that takes them to see the actual definition or a video about how that portion of the stomach works. This final assessment is simply a crossword. It's kind of fun, but it shows that they understand both the function of the part as well as what the part is. Main point 3 is about the lactation cycle, so here are the same instruction sets. For this part, the students are going to do research on the lactation cycle, and then they're going to be given a diagram like the one pictured here. And in that diagram, they're going to kind of like memorize it to an extent, and then they're going to create a screencast where they describe each of the different parts and what's happening in that cycle. And their assessment will be the how well they do their screencast. Here we have another video describing it, or an Edpuzzle that's interactive with the questions. The final assessment for this portion is sort of like a matching game for the lactation cycle that I used to articulate storyline with. And main point number 4 is our last main point, the same general setup for instructions that students will go through. We have another Edpuzzle here. For this part, students will be doing their own research on homogenization, both the pros and cons to it, and then they're going to be using a Kahoot discussion board to respond to a question that the instructor gives them, as well as what their classmates are responding with. Here's another video, and then after this video, the children or the students will have a quiz via Google Forms. And then finally, the students will be asked to create either a Word document or a Google Docs, and they will be required to write out the steps of how milk is processed in the factory before it gets to the human for consumption. And so in that manner, it will be like paragraph format. I'm asking for like a 1-page explanation, and they will email that to the instructor when they're finished. So to give you an idea of what all this looks like in a website or module format, so when the students come to the page, they'll see this, and they'll click the begin here. So the first portion of this module is the ruminant digestion, which you can see here. Here are some written instructions. If you click on the instructions button, it'll take you to a video. Below here are all the resources that are going to be needed for the student to be able to complete this portion of the module. This button here will take them to their activities. And then if they scroll back up, they can go to the next section, which would be the lactation cycle. Again, the same instruction setup, more vocabulary terms, images and videos for reference and resources, and then they have not been embedded yet, but the activities will go in this area down here for the student to complete for their assessment. So that's how I've designed and used my planning cards to help me with my interactive module. Thank you.